Big birthday parties were never my thing. The thought of a crowded house, filled with laughter and movement, always made me uneasy. Like the walls were pressing in, the air growing thick with too many voices, too many bodies in a space that was supposed to be mine. But this year, my friends refused to take no for an answer. "Come on, man, just this once," they pushed, their excitement relentless. Against my better judgment, I gave in, ignoring the uneasy feeling in my gut. I spent the afternoon decorating, stringing up streamers, blowing up balloons, setting out a table full of snacks. When the first guests arrived, the music kicked in, the laughter started, and for a while, I let myself believe this was a good idea. The warmth of familiar faces, the hum of conversation, the buzz of alcohol smoothing the edges of my discomfort, it almost felt nice. But as the night wore on, that fragile sense of comfort began to slip through my fingers like sand, leaving behind something colder, something heavier. At first, I didn't know why. Everything seemed normal. People were drinking, dancing, shouting over the music, filling the house with life and warmth. But then, in the middle of it all, I saw him. Just for a second, a brief flicker in my peripheral vision, a figure standing by the snack table, just barely on the edge of the crowd. He didn't move, didn't talk to anyone, didn't seem to belong. He wore a hoodie, the fabric pulled low over his face, casting deep shadows where his features should have been. Something about his stillness unsettled me, but I brushed it off, telling myself it was nothing. The house was full of people. I had no way of knowing everyone who had walked through my door. Maybe he was someone's plus one. Maybe he was just shy. I turned back to my friends, raised my drink, forced myself to laugh along with their jokes, but the image of him stayed with me, lodged in my mind like a splinter. The way he stood there, unmoving, a quiet figure amidst the chaos, watching. An hour passed, maybe more. The party had hit that wild, reckless phase. People were drunk, bodies tangled on the dance floor, voices slurred with laughter. But beneath the noise, beneath the drunken joy, something felt off. A strange undercurrent ran through the air, a tension I couldn't name but couldn't ignore. I tried to shake it, tried to convince myself it was nothing. And then, I saw him again. This time, he wasn't standing by the snacks. He was in the hallway just past the crowd, where the lights were dimmer, where the music didn't quite reach. He stood near the entrance to the bedrooms, his body still, his posture eerily stiff. And he was staring, not at anyone in particular, just staring straight ahead, like he was waiting for something. My chest tightened as I took a step forward, trying to get a better look. The hood still shadowed most of his face, but now I could see his mouth. Slightly open, lips dry and cracked. They moved, forming words too soft for me to hear, whispering something to no one at all. A chill crept up my spine. I stepped forward, intent on asking who he was, but as soon as I did, he turned and walked into my bedroom. That was enough. My heart pounded as I followed, shoving through the crowd. My bedroom door was ajar. I pushed it open, expecting to see him rifling through my things, but the room was empty, completely empty. The air was still, yet I felt an undeniable presence, something lingering just out of reach. But then, I noticed something chilling. My closet door was open by an inch. I knew for a fact I had shut it earlier. I swallowed hard and stepped closer. My reflection in the closet's full-length mirror looked pale, unnerved. I hesitated, my breath coming short and sharp. Then, summoning my courage, I grabbed the handle and yanked it open. Nothing. Just clothes, shoes, the usual. The paranoia crept deeper into my bones. I exhaled sharply, running a hand through my hair. Maybe I was imagining things. Maybe the alcohol was playing tricks on me. Shaking my head, I left the room, convincing myself I was just being paranoid. The party continued. More drinks, more music. I let the tension slip away, let myself have fun again. That was until I saw him a third time. He was in the kitchen now, standing behind my friend Jake, close, too close. His hand hovered near Jake's neck, fingers twitching. My breath caught in my throat. I bolted across the room, shoving people aside, but the moment I reached them, he was gone. Just gone. Jake turned, confused by my panic. "Dude, What the hell? Jake laughed. You okay? There was... I stopped. What could I even say? There was a man? Who keeps disappearing? They'd think I was wasted. I shook my head. Nothing. Just be careful, okay? Jake gave me a weird look but shrugged it off. The music pounded on. People drank, shouted, danced. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. And then the real nightmare began. The lights flickered. A few people laughed, assuming it was just a power surge. But then they went out completely. Darkness swallowed the room. Someone cursed. A few people pulled out their phones, using the glow to navigate. Then, the screams started. Not playful, drunken screams. Blood-curdling, terror-filled shrieks. My stomach lurched. I spun around, trying to see what was happening, but it was too dark. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and the beam cut through the chaos. I wished I had never turned it on. The intruder was in the center of the room, standing completely still. He had taken off his hood. His face was gaunt, pale, stretched into a twisted grin. His eyes, sunken, hollow, completely black, locked onto mine, and he was holding a knife. I barely had time to react before he moved. He darted through the crowd, fast, slicing at random. People screamed, scrambled, shoved each other trying to get away. I lunged at him, but he was too quick. He vanished into the panicked crowd. My heart pounded against my ribs. I grabbed a chair, ready to swing if he came near again. The lights flickered back on, revealing the aftermath. Blood smeared across the floor. A few people had shallow cuts on their arms and legs, nothing fatal, but enough to send everyone into a frenzy. Then, the front door slammed with a force that rattled the walls. My breath hitched, but I didn't hesitate. I bolted after him, sprinting into the street, my heart pounding so loudly it nearly drowned out the eerie silence of the night. The air was cold, the wind cutting against my skin, but I barely noticed. I scanned the empty street, my eyes darting between the parked cars, the dimly lit sidewalks, the shadows stretching beneath flickering streetlights. But there was nothing. No sign of him. Just the distant hum of traffic and the oppressive quiet that seemed to swallow everything whole. He had vanished, slipping into the darkness as if he had never been there at all. The police arrived minutes later, their flashing lights casting an unnatural glow over the chaos. They took statements, checked the wounded, methodically going through the steps they'd been trained for, but none of it provided answers. No one had seen how he got in. No one knew who he was. And worst of all, there was no sign of forced entry. It didn't make sense. Every door had been locked, every window shut. Yet somehow he had been inside. Somehow he had walked among us, unnoticed, until the moment he decided to strike. After everyone left, I sat in the wreckage of my home, the adrenaline slowly fading, leaving behind an unbearable emptiness. Blood stains smeared the floor, furniture lay overturned, shattered glass glinted under the dim kitchen light. The silence pressed against my ears, suffocating, stretching out endlessly. My mind raced, replaying every detail, every conversation, every face in the crowd. I kept searching for something I had missed, something that could explain how this nightmare had begun. And then, I saw it. A small, crumpled piece of paper sitting on the kitchen counter, almost as if it had been placed there deliberately. My stomach twisted as I stepped closer, my fingers trembling as I picked it up. The handwriting was jagged, uneven, as if written in haste or with unsteady hands. "You let me in, I'll come again." A heavy, choking dread settled in my chest. My hands moved on instinct, locking doors, checking windows, over and over, as if repetition could make me feel safe. But safety was a lie, a fragile illusion that shattered the moment I let him in. The night stretched endlessly, sleep a distant impossibility. Every flicker of movement in the corner of my vision felt like him. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of wind against the glass sent my pulse racing. The party had been meant to celebrate, to bring laughter and warmth. Now it was poisoned, forever stained by something unseen yet undeniable. Because I know he's still out there, just beyond the veil of darkness, watching, waiting. No matter how many times I check the locks, no matter how tightly I shut the curtains, the feeling never fades. He's near, he never really left, and when the moment is right, he'll return.